hiring somebody is really hard. It's not just like, oh, well, can you do the job? It's like, are we going to vibe together? Are we cool? Like, can we do this? The point I'm trying to make, what is the hardest thing is communication. So like, you can tell me, how do you change a tire? And then you can tell me over the phone, and then you can write it down, and then you can record a video. But that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's going to be able to take what you just did, all three of those things, and then be able to change the tire.
How can you help us, though, continue to help you? First, please subscribe to the channel. Like us. If you listen to the audio version, leave us a 5-star review wherever you can. If you see our posts, please share those posts, share the content, and link back to our law firm website, which helps us to continue our SEO marketing and grow our firm and help small business owners. So, Jonathan, welcome to the show. I believe your company's PENJI, right? It's basically a virtual agency for creatives, right? You find people to work with them.
Exactly right. Yeah. Well, not exactly, but very close to exactly. Yeah.
As
somewhere around there.
Well, why don't we go back to, your background, and, we could talk about Philadelphia and, how bad the Eagles used to be and they're good now, that kind of stuff.
No, listen, man, I'm not like if I were to pick an NFL team, the Eagles would definitely be it just because of locality reasons.
Yeah, of course.
But I absolutely hate Eagles fans.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Eagles fans.
It's tough. It's like Jets fans. They throw people off the, upper decks. It's not
100%. I think I just like,
well,
so there's a couple of things that I don't like about Philadelphia, even though I'm from there. Number one, the accent.
Yeah.
So
you don't have an accent. You don't have an
I
accent.
don't, because I forced my soul to remove it out of my body. I hate it. That was actually before my wife. I was like, there's one criteria. You cannot have a Philadelphia accent.
Yeah.
If you have the Philadelphia accent, you're immediately, you could be drop dead gorgeous at 10.
Got to send you to finishing school.
Yeah, you're a 1 immediately if you have a Philadelphia accent.
That's so funny. Well, the thing is, though, Philadelphia is one of the few towns that, like, if you win a championship, any sport, all the fans come out and burn the city down. Like,
yeah, it makes no sense.
Right? No, it's their city. Crazy.
Like
stuff.
The first thing I want to do when my team wins is like not flip a car. Like,
right.
That's
set fire to things.
Yeah. Just enjoy it in your home, hang out with your friends, drink a couple beers, and then call it a day, like a normal human being. But whatever.
Yeah. All right. So tell me about your background. By the way, I do love when guests come on and they have good microphones, like I do. So it makes for
I think in today's world, if you don't, this is actually warranted advice. If you don't have a microphone in today's world, I think you're a loser. Like I just
well, if you're going on podcasts, you should have the proper equipment, right?
Yeah, but 99% of the world nowadays is digital, so you might as well have it. So
participate.
My background in particular, I'd say I'm not really good at a lot of things, but I'm just a really good hard worker, and I don't necessarily quit. That's really that
perseverance has a lot, stick-to-itiveness, whatever it's called.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel like I've kind of lived that my whole life. I've never been good at, I'm athletic, but I've never been great. I'm good at sports, but I've never been great, but I always work the hardest. I go to the gym. I'm not the biggest guy on the planet.
Right. But you're working out hard.
But I'm working my ass off in order to make sure that I at least am the hardest worker in the room. And I feel like I've translated that philosophy in the business world as well.
Yeah. And I don't think, some of us have natural talent in certain areas of things that we do. But, when you work hard, you reach whatever that potential is and beyond, right? So Michael Jordan didn't become a great basketball player just by sitting around and, shooting hoops in the backyard. He worked really hard, but he also had a lot of potential. So he
100%.
But if you and I practiced like he did, we wouldn't be as good as him, but we would be very good basketball players.
Yes, absolutely.
I think, and business, I think, is the same.
The hard work is really important in the very beginning, and then
100%.
And then it comes down to like, well, you can work really hard, but if you can't make a basket, then there's really no point in you being on the court at all. Right.
Exactly.
So I think, and I also would say I got pretty lucky too. But my career standpoint, at 15, I started lawn mowing, was making like $2,000 a month for a 15-year-old, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah. That's a lot. I was doing that stuff then. I was not making $2,000 a month.
Yeah. We had a lot of customers, which was really cool. And the area that I was in was like a little development. So then I could just go boom, 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 boom. And what I did was I actually took a piece of paper and I said, hey, I'm a student. I want to make money.
Yeah.
And I work hard. Like, will you accept? And I think we were charging like $30 for a lawn or like $40 for a lawn.
And I pay now.
Yeah, is it nice?
I pay like $40 a week for a lawn.
That's killer.
Yeah,
I don't know how big your lawn is. These were like
pretty big. It's like we got a big backyard, big front yard, side yard. Yeah.
That's killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And it's the
that
going rate. I'm not getting a deal. I mean, everyone else is paying. Well, you got to pay extra for mulch and all the other stuff you probably
for
did,
sure.
but just the actual mowing, yeah, it's like $30, $40 a cut.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
We did it by like we did it by
Right.
pushing. So like
Right.
we played life on hard mode, but yeah, I mean to kind of give you a gist of the entrepreneurial aspect of it, especially the accidental aspects. I had a job at Apple.
Okay.
Hated my job.
What were
It
you
just
doing there?
was very repetitious. I was like business development in like the retail stores, so I was selling a lot to businesses.
Got it.
Um, and then it just became repetitive, and I went out to my boss. I was like, listen man, like I really want to start my own business and do XYZ. I started it a little bit previously before I quit. The manager looked at me in the eyes and said, hey man, what's the point of putting you in your 2 weeks? Just go out and do it right now. So
Well, what was it you were doing at the time?
it was social media management.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so still in the marketing space.
Yeah. But it was
And
to
I
manage people's social media accounts because they're not very good at it.
correct,
They're not.
exactly right.
I'm not
Yeah,
good at it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly right. So then I had this like idea of 2 weeks of like money wise I could save. Like if I didn't make any money, then I would be fine. And then I had 3 months of of money in my bank account to kind of give me
A little bit of a runway.
a little bit of a run. Yeah.
Right.
And ultimately, always just made enough to kind of pass by until I met my now co-founder of PENJI, and him and I started a digital marketing agency, which is like an expanded version of like social. It wasn't like specialized in social media.
Right.
It was
You're,
more
you're building websites, doing SEO, doing
yeah,
email
exactly
stuff,
right.
the whole thing. Right.
All
Okay.
purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we sucked at that. We were terrible.
Really?
Yeah, we sucked. We were absolutely bad. But the gist of it is that everybody told us that our graphic design was really good. So then we were
Okay.
like, well, well, if we're really good at this, let's kind of use it and use it as a
So
service.
the look of what you were putting out was great. It just wasn't effective.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
nobody, like everything that we did was great, but nobody saw it because we sucked at SEO and all that other
Right.
stuff.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, so then that was kind of the gist of it. So then PENJI came about in a coffee shop in Vietnam.
Really?
Yeah, it was a coffee shop, like an ice cream coffee shop, and we sat together. We're like, what are our goals in life? What do we want to accomplish? How much financial success do we want to have? And we kind of did the numbers and the math and things like that, and we said, well, we have to get to here.
How did you
Uh,
end up in Vietnam, Southeast Asia?
the what again? I'm
How did
sorry.
you end up in Vietnam? Like, what were
Yeah,
you
great
doing there?
question. My business partner is he's
Vietnamese?
Vietnamese. Yeah, he's
That
Vietnamese.
helps.
So
So
I
you're
actually
visiting
just
him?
came back there. Well, no, he's from America, but we have employees that are in Vietnam. We
Okay.
had them for 10 years plus, and we still have those same people today. I actually just saw them 2 weeks ago. So I just came back from Asia a little bit.
So virtual people, like I use somebody in the Philippines, the same type of thing. You're using people in Vietnam who
Very similar, but I would say
you have your own team though.
yeah, they're a little bit more brotherhood because we've known them for so long, which I'm very proud of, because a lot of times when you hire people digitally, it's like
Right.
it's as easy as just hitting delete and then you can
Yeah.
get rid of them. Like, no,
There's some
they've been with us
connection
for
there. Yeah.
even the crap times and the really, really, really good times. But then we decided this like subscription model seemed really good because recurring revenue made sense.
That big time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is where PENJI came into play, which is essentially a subscription service for creatives. And so rather than hiring somebody in house, we do all the hiring for you. You just sign up for the service and you get placed a vetted, talented
Right.
creative.
And you just charge
And
them every month and you handle everything.
exactly right. Yeah. So if they don't like someone, cool, that's fine. We
Right.
find somebody else.
Yeah.
And
And creatives are photographers, graphic designers,
Yeah.
artists, music people, whatever.
Yeah, anything. So,
Got it.
to onboard somebody for your business, I'm sure, Mitch, you can kind of more or less talk about this even more, but hiring somebody is really hard. It's
Yeah.
not just like, oh, well, can you do the job? It's like, well, are we going to vibe together? Are we cool?
Right.
Like, can we do this? And
Yeah.
then what happens if they're just like a-holes, right?
Hard
And
to get
then
rid of them. People
yeah,
just
you have
have
to get rid of them.
trouble.
Now,
Yeah.
from a legal standpoint, it's a pain in
Legal
the ass.
standpoint, it's uncomfortable. You don't want,
Yeah.
you don't pull the trigger fast enough, whatever.
Exactly. So there's like so much time that's wasted that
Right.
you can't get back. And then that's what usually happens when it comes to entrepreneurship is like you just get caught up in the weeds and you're like, well, I'll do it next time or I'll do it next
Right.
time.
You just
If I
avoid it.
only had the right person, I can do this,
Big
right?
time. Big time. I
PENJI
was
more
talking
or
to
less
somebody this
eliminates
morning.
all that.
So even if you're using somebody overseas, let's say you go to Upwork because you're like, oh, I can get it cheaper, right? Because you and I both know I use an agency too, as a client of mine. I pay him more per hour than I would pay on Upwork, right? But I'm not managing that stuff. So
Yeah,
if I deal with Upwork, I still got to deal with the person. How do I pay them? How do I take deductions? All that type of
exactly.
stuff. You handle all that stuff.
Exactly right. Yeah. So it's a huge time suck to go on these businesses, to go on these websites that you mentioned and kind
Yeah.
of vet yourself. Whereas all you have to do is just say, listen, you need a logo or you need social content, you need a video. You tell us what you need done, and then we do it to you. We give it to you in 24 hours. And primarily, a lot of our business comes from people like your own agency, believe it or not,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
because they don't actually like doing the work themselves, because it is expensive to do it. And
Right.
let's just say you get charged, you get billed by them $1,000. They're making pennies, really.
Yeah. No, because they
Whereas
got to
if they
pay
can
the
make a little
people.
bit more profit, they hire a company like
So you're
ours.
doing more project-based stuff for the creatives, or are you finding someone to be like an assistant to the person?
So it's kind of like it's a good question. So it's kind of like a revolving. So we have like hundreds of designers all over the world,
Yeah.
and the idea is like every one of our customers has like 4 or 5 designers that they love working with.
And
So
they
they
all have a
kind of
little
just
bit different nuance, right? The
yeah, it's
designers.
not like, Jimmy gets placed in your business. It's like you have PENJI as a service and you can use PENJI as much as you want, but it's going to be the designers that you know and love. But those people also work with other businesses as well.
Got it. Right. Yeah. Because it's probably not enough work from one
At
person.
times, for sure, yeah.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's
All
also
right.
better for, from a profit standpoint. Yeah.
And for the person who's doing the work, they want to
Yeah, of
be
course.
busy. They get
Yeah, they
paid,
don't want
right?
to just like sit around, doing nothing. So for sure.
Right. Yeah. Now, do a lot of these guys work for different agencies, or in your case, they just work for you?
In our case, just for us, and that's kind of like the biggest sell in a service like ours, because like if you go to a service like you just mentioned, who knows how many clients they have and who
Yeah.
knows what they do, right? They could
Right.
be, as far as they could be weird dudes, right? Or weird people. They can also be like just not genuine. So what we do is we have a vetting process that kind of allows us the ability to hire what we believe is the top 2% of designers or creatives in the world, but also we want to make sure that they're good people. And I've had the luxury of actually meeting a large majority of them, and can confirm like these are really nice, genuine people that have a family that, even though they are from different countries,
Yeah.
right? They're in different socioeconomical climates. They still care at the end of the day of the customer. They care about the company that they work for, and they want to do good for themselves and their family.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Well, what do you find? Because I think, the world's changed a lot. I mean, if you go back 20 years, we weren't working with virtual people in the United States, let alone in another country. So I
For
think,
sure.
when it comes to planning your business or developing your business or even just writing a business plan, I think that people don't realize that there's these resources out there that you don't have to go and hire somebody and get a payroll and do all this kind of stuff, because you may not be able to afford to have somebody full time, but that you
100%.
can have somebody part time who is not somebody down the street who's just like has a kid and they're helping you out a little bit. There's somebody who's working full time. They're just not working full time for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I think in today's climate, in order for you to survive, you need to outsource.
Yeah.
You'd be absolutely foolish to not do it. Just that simple, really. And I think personally, just from my experience, I don't think you should actually bring on like a full-time United States person unless it's like absolutely mandatory in the business,
Right.
at least until you're making 5 figures a month.
A month.
Again,
Right.
unless it's like mandatory and you need to do something like that, right? But if you're like a digital business, I mean, you should. I don't see the need to actually hire somebody from America.
Yeah.
Respectfully, of course, nothing against it. And what I've found personally is people in America are and I'm casting a wide generalization in that
Okay.
I'd say people in other countries are probably harder working than most Americans.
Probably in a lot of cases. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in your field, obviously, it's going to be a little bit different. You need to have specialized, but like,
Yes, exactly. And there's compliance issues. And
yeah,
I know even in the accounting field, they can use people off site, but there's got to be, right? It's got to be, the data has to be here. So there's got to be all kinds of security things. And
sure,
so, yeah, it's not even something like you guys are even equipped to do or want to do.
yeah,
So
yeah,
how did you end up in the creative space? Because you guys were creatives? I mean, is that why?
more or less. I'm actually not creative at all. I can't. I mean, if I should actually have it on in my background. You know those like drawings that you do with your wife, where it's like you paint the wife and she paints me.
Yeah.
She ended up painting me exactly the way that I looked, and she ended up looking like Shrek. So like in terms of like my artistic abilities, I'm terrible, but I am the perfect customer for PENJI because I understand the hardships of what I have to go through every single day in order to make sure that everything is a little bit of caliber and of quality. So I
Right.
use a service like PENJI every single day in order to make sure that what I put out into the universe is actually good.
Yeah. So now so does your partner more manage the people in Vietnam and you do more of the business development and things like that? Or how are you? And
Yeah, so I mean, the benefit of I mean, he does speak Vietnamese, but in terms of like his role, he is actually the CEO of the company, and that's by design.
okay.
My role, more or less, is the process and operations and aspect of that. Like he's big picture, I'm micro detail oriented to ensure that everything is followed through and everybody is moving paddling the boat at the exact same speed. And I have a particular set of skills where if somebody's not particularly paddling on that exact speed, I can easily pinpoint what the speed that that person's going to in order to get them back up to the 100 miles an hour that we want to try and go for.
Right.
So, that's more or less my role, is like the systems, the engineering aspects of it.
And what about running your business? So the people that you use, let's say in Vietnam, right? That's really like your product.
Yeah, so
That's the
like
service
so
you're providing.
product is primarily in Vietnam. The production of
Yeah.
the
What about
service
your
as a whole
employees? Yeah.
is in Philippines. It's located in Europe, America, all other Asian countries as well. We've serviced, I did the math, about 75 countries worldwide so far.
That have been
And
custom people from those countries that have been customers.
75 countries have been customers of PENJI, yeah. And I think we employ in over 25 different countries. So it's like it's a widespread of humans and people and things and logistics and
Yeah.
a
I
lot
mean,
of things.
countries worldwide, there's only like somewhere between 200 and 300. I know that's a big range, but
Yeah.
it's not thousands.
Well, I made a claim. The reason why I made a claim on another podcast before, and I just threw out the number. I think I said 80, right? And I was like, oh crap, like that's probably really difficult to do.
Yeah.
and then I like double checked and I was like, oh
It's more
yeah,
difficult than you think. Yeah.
it is 80. And so like to me, I felt pretty good because I'm like, man, we created a product that's really nice. A
Yeah.
lot of people resonate with it. We have thousands of customers paying us on a monthly basis. They're global. And then, we actually are able to service over 80-ish plus. I don't remember the exact number now, but around 80 countries. Like that's
Right. Different
enormous.
people from those countries. Sure.
Yeah.
So what's your business development strategy on your side? Like, how do you find the people to do business with you, these creatives? How do you reach them? I'm always curious as to the marketing that,
So
you know.
from the logistics side of like the production, we have the luxury of having a hiring team, and they're constantly just like we're also receiving applications daily.
For
So
the people to do the work.
to do the work, yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I'll get to the other
Yeah,
aspect
yeah.
of it, of the sales.
I just want to make
So
sure I'm
so
on
they
the
just
same.
vet, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. So now the how do you get these customers, right? So number one, I'd say the biggest strength that we've had is our brand messaging. So we have competitors in our space that pretty much do the exact same things that we do. We've always been different in our industry. So I think brand messaging has been super important and imperative. And I think this can apply for small business owners as well.
And how would you say yours is different than your competitors?
How?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
said it's different. So how
Yeah. So I just think our service is more simplified, right? Like
Okay.
I'm trying to give advice to like the small business owner as well,
Yeah.
because if you can simplify the business, I think that's really important. But I also think that the locality aspect that a lot of small business owners do, especially in the digital world, it doesn't necessarily work as well as you think it does. You're like, oh, well, I'm down the street, therefore, blah, 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 blah. You should be able to use me. That's not always the case. It
Right.
can be the case, but it's not. So
Right.
I would say, like, for a small business owner listening to this, you want to simplify your messaging as easy as
Make
possible.
it easy to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
one
definitely a
sentence.
big
What do
problem.
you do? I do this. Boom.
People
See you later.
complicate things. They make themselves feel better by talking bigger, and they use their industry terms. Nobody understands them. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
And I think the second one, um so you have the simplicity aspects, but at the same boat you also have the genuine aspects. So I've always found that if you are very honest and very direct, I've always found that to be the most helpful.
Hmm.
And I think that's probably the third one, which is helpful.
Yeah.
So like once you are able to get the service and get the business, you have to make sure that people actually like it, and you have to perform at the caliber that you
Right.
want.
Respond.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think those are the three things that we've been able to do successfully. And fortunately for us, I think our world is dependent on reviews. So like
Mhm.
how well people view the service, and we are the top ranked in our industry. And I feel like if other people are saying that we are the best, then I think that's pretty
Yeah.
good validation
Sure.
that
Because,
we are.
yeah, I mean, you to tell them the best. Of course, that's what you're going to say.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, like even a brochure. If your brochure doesn't sound great, then you're an idiot because you're writing the thing yourself. But third
Exactly
party,
right.
yeah. So I'm most curious about this because when I was getting more going with my practice, right, and I have different challenges than you do, but it's definitely the same thing, right? Like people see right through you. The biggest complaint about attorneys, it's not really. I mean, they complain about their fees, but it's more like that they don't get back to them, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous, right? That
Yeah.
even happens. But I'm curious about if you. I just lost my train of thought. We were talking about the. What were you saying before that? You said.
Well, actually, I want to speak to what you just said, which is the communication
And I'll
piece. Because
remember what I was saying.
yeah, no, it's okay. I'll give you a sec. So communication is also equally important. I would say a lot of business owners are like the most emotional people on planet Earth. Like
Yeah,
a business owners are very emotional. Everything is urgent. Everything needs to be done right
right.
now.
Because their whole
Everything needs
life's
to
like
be
tied
responded.
up into what they're doing.
Yeah, and you could tell the seasoned entrepreneurs versus those who are not, because like, hey, get this done. All right, cool. Like a real professional is prepared and has thought 5 steps ahead,
Right.
whereas a young entrepreneur, and it doesn't matter in age, it could be in just a young in mind,
Right.
they need it done right now, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, that's cool, but like you shouldn't have to, if you have to do anything right now, you've already failed as a business owner, in my opinion. You need to be like, okay, cool, it could be done next week, that's fine, I'm prepared. I have 4 fail safes to ensure that if
Right.
this doesn't go right, this
Right.
does go right.
Everything can't be a fire drill.
100%. So but however, everything is a fire drill if it is done via email. And what we've done is, from our business, is we have a measure that we have to respond within 1 hour.
Okay.
Within 1 hour.
Yeah. 60 minutes.
Yep. And so we have 24. I've specifically invested money to ensure that our email and our communication systems are running 24 hours a day, and not necessarily by AI. And it's not me doing it either. It's people that are in place to give a genuine response, to ensure that the customer receives the response that they need,
Yeah.
to ensure that they feel nurtured and that they feel respected.
Yeah. No. Well, when you have a more of a global organization, that's why when you send a customer service request to some company and they respond to you at 12:15 at night, it's because the person on the other side of the world, it's noon for them. It's lunchtime.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit different. So that, yeah, because you can't do that yourself and be up in the middle of the night. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. So I think communication, to your point, is
Mhm.
paramount, and I would agree with you. I think attorneys get the rep of poor communication or just not being truthful and honest.
People see through you today. You just can't get away with things like, even from a sales standpoint, if you're not honest, people just turns them away.
And the fact that I think that you're doing this show, I think is a huge testament to your practice and also your business acumen, because in order to be more human, you have to have a platform like this.
Yeah, I mean, it creates authority, right? It shows us having normal conversations, being normal people, and um, yeah, it definitely adds to a lot of that stuff. I just remember what I was telling you, because what you were saying was you're talking about reviews and how reviews help you with business online, right? But reviews, and I realized this very early on in my practice, don't just come organically. People don't just leave a review because they feel like it. Some people do, but very few. So I have a process where by and I got this from a colleague of mine who she's very good with systems and staying on top for all of her business. She's an attorney. Whenever I finish a matter, my system, once the system is tagged as finished, sends out an email asking them to review us on Google or one of the other sites. So what is your process? Like, how do you get reviews? Because I think it's so important, even for brick and mortar businesses, to get, like you said, third party, verification or, that kind of
So
stuff.
in our service,
Yeah.
it's like, and I think this can be applied for anybody. I think you have to do somebody a favor in order for you to, if you do your service and like whatever your transaction is, I'm doing real estate planning or estate planning, right?
Yeah.
If you perform the service, then you ask for a review. I think it is the customer. If I were the customer, I would not do it.
No?
No, I wouldn't
Okay.
personally. Now, unless you're like incredible, which I believe that you are,
Yeah.
but like unless you go way out of the norm, I think doing the service is fine, but I wouldn't expect a review. I think you have to go above and beyond and do something that's out of the realm of not within the service. So, for example,
Okay.
again, I'm just going to use an example. I'll
Yeah.
try to translate it over to yours, and if I'm misspoken, then so estate planning.
Yeah.
You do estate planning. These are the things that include estate planning, but then you leave out one little thing, right? It's going to be guaranteed. You're going to do it anyways, but the customer doesn't know about it until the very end. In which then you at the very end of the transaction, you go, listen, this isn't something out of the ordinary. Guess what, Mitch? It is. You do it every single time. But I'm going to do this for you this one time specifically because I think you're amazing. And, I'm really sorry about the hardship that you went through or whatever the hell I'm at, right? So whatever that is, I'm going to do this one thing for you. Boom. Okay. Then you do that one thing. Oh, by the way, I did this for you as a favor, but if you don't mind, it would mean a lot if you could actually write a Google review or X review for me. It really helps our business out. Do you think that's something that you could do? Yes, absolutely. Sure. You did me this solid. I'll absolutely do it for you. So we've instilled that same philosophy, things that we already do in our business on a daily basis. We're going to do for you anyways.
Right.
Or we want to do something out of a courtesy and say, hey, listen, you do
Highlight.
this for me. I do this for you. I'll absolutely do it. And like the reviews that we get from instilling this, like truly hundreds of reviews that we've achieved from implementing this service just from using that strategy. Now, it's not necessarily fake because it is still genuine. It is real. It's not a lie. We are doing it, but we're gonna for example,
you're doing it as a favor to them, and that's not really.
Yeah, like for example, the example that I have is like we'll speed up the project a little bit. Right. So for something like us is that, right? Listen, nobody's available right now. They can be available. Like that person that they wanted may not be available. Somebody else is available.
Right.
Hey, we're not really losing anything from our end,
Yeah.
but it's something that's going to help them out because they have a client or they have a deadline or whatever it may
Something
be.
like that. You went over and beyond.
Yeah. So we just went a little bit above and beyond and we said, listen, like we don't typically do this because we don't. We actually do charge for it. So we'll give it to you for free. It's usually $49 in order for us or whatever it is, but we're going to give it to you for free because, we really like the account, but it's just like a custom customer service that we don't necessarily have to do, but they ask for it and we'll do it, but we're not going to charge. So therefore we ask for the review.
It's not like you would normally do that for free. There is a charge, but you're doing it as a favor, as a throw in, Say, hey, by the way, can you help us out and do this? Maybe you're getting your calendaring from one software and you're invoicing from another. Evenoo is a platform that we use as one of our sponsors to run our entire business. And there's other features like auto payments and integrations with QuickBooks. Visit evenoo.com, EVONUE.com to learn more. There's also a link in the show notes. And be sure to tell them that the Accidental Entrepreneur referred you. This podcast is brought to you by our affiliate sponsor, iEmployee. iEmployee is a virtual assistant service that hires almost anyone for any role in your company right out of the Philippines. Most roles range from $7 to $9 an hour for highly skilled and experienced VAs. And whether you need an executive assistant, social media manager, video editor, customer service, sales, you name it, they have it. We use iEmployee for our VA services, from editing and promoting the podcast to all the PR and promotion of our law firm. iEmployee acts as a virtual field supervisor on the back end with live video monitoring and reports on a daily basis with screenshots of your VA's workday, and along with complete HR and payroll duties. No more paying for overpriced and underqualified workers. There's a link in the show notes to get a 1-week free trial, and I encourage you to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I think every business, including your own, can do that. And I think if you were to do it, I mean, I'm not gonna say a number, but I think you can. I'm looking at the number. I can confidently say, if you were to think about that strategy, you can get it into the 3 digits in no time.
Yeah. I mean, there's some issues on my end, like as a professional, there's ethical issues and,
Yeah, for sure.
Things that people can make.
I'm sure there's something, right? And then the other thing too is, I don't know the ethical aspects of it, but we have a podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we find it really helpful to kind of just make connections and things like that. We actually asked some of our customers to go on, because no one wants to write reviews. Let's just be honest. Nobody wants to speak about the customer, about the company that you're working with.
Right.
So we asked them to join the podcast, and then we interview them. We asked them how their experience was with PENJI. And then guess what? We clip it, and then we put it on our website, and then now we have hundreds of testimonials.
That's basically not a review. What's the word? An endorsement, kind of, right?
100%. Yeah.
No, that's all that stuff's really good. I mean, look, every state has rules about what clients can say. So when we send out the email, we kind of guide them along the way. But yeah, I mean, look, we've had customers, it's very good to say to the customer, hey, listen, come on the show. We'll talk about PENJI and what we did for you. And also it gives you some of your own PR, right? Because now you got content you could post, and it goes on social media and things 100%. Like that. So that's always a good quid pro quo. I always go on other people's shows, and they go on my show, and we promote each other's books and stuff like that, because that's what you do. I ask people, look, if you're going to do something, we do guest blogging sometimes. Would you write an article for our law blog, on this particular topic, if it's a fit, that type of stuff, and then link back and all that kind of stuff. So
it's a great SEO strategy for sure.
No, I know link backs because they're hard to get. So
anytime that you can put somebody on a soapbox, I think that's, in my opinion, the best sales strategy that you can possibly obtain.
Right.
We do it, and it works really well. We have multiple variations of that same strategy, because cold email, it doesn't really work.
Nah.
It can work for sure, but it
really I can't read the emails that I recognize. If I don't recognize them, I delete them.
Yeah. I hope this serves you well. Nobody cares about that.
No, but you're right, because you're not just asking for them to support you. You're supporting them. You're saying, hey, thanks for the service. We're going to continue to service you. Would you do this? And hey, why don't we bring you on the podcast, get you some PR, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. No, that's, I think that more businesses should implement and employ those kind of strategies where they do more things for their customers, because it just comes, back to you. And having you on the show helps me and helps you, because I get an episode and I have content, you get content, and that type of stuff.
But I also want to say that I think it's imperative to understand the goals of the business.
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing something for the goal for that's going to benefit the business for your long-term strategy, like, you can easily be a New Jersey-based attorney and you just want to service New Jersey, and then you're super happy because you can go home to your family and kiss your good kids goodnight. Like that could be a beautiful life for a lot of people, and it is beautiful. But there's also the people who may want a little bit more. And I think, if you want that extra step, I think it takes an extra step. and
Yeah.
it takes putting out awesome content and amazing interviews and a worldwide type of global economy business
Yeah.
than just like a local 25-mile radius customer base.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm in the only profession where you're landlocked to where you're admitted to the bar, which really sucks. It
Yeah,
shouldn't be
yeah.
like that. It should be like other professions. You take a national exam. Maybe you register in the state where you're doing business so they have your information, but you shouldn't have to pass a test every
I
single place. You know,
I
it was done to
agree.
keep people out of the bar. It was make it more difficult for less educated people, minorities. 100 years ago. That's really where
Yeah.
the bar exams came from. That's why they call it the bar exam. It bars you from getting into the, yeah, yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah,
I've always found, I have a
it's the
couple of friends
history
that
of
are
it.
attorneys. It's always intriguing about how
Yeah, I'm
they go
losing you
about
if I'm away from the mic.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
I always find it interesting when I have a couple friends that are attorneys, then they have a house in like Florida or something like that. It's like, dude, just get the exam and do all that stuff there. And he's like, no, it's like impossible. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
hard, especially
Yeah.
Florida. So I'm admitted in New York and New Jersey. I took the bar in New Jersey, practiced for a long time. A couple of years ago, I waived into New York because they changed the rules. Florida, you can't waive in, so you'd have to take the bar. You'd probably, depending on how long you've been practicing, have to take a course because it's got topics you haven't practiced in for years. Courses are 5 to 10 grand. It takes you to get admitted. First, you got to pass, and then they get all these character things. It takes a long time. Even if you could waive in, when I waived into New York, it took a year and a half and probably 2 grand in time in money. It's not a it's like a lot of the guys I know in financial services, like they're in securities or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They meet you, John, and you're in Pennsylvania, and your buddy's in Maryland. He wants to do business in Pennsylvania. He just files a form, pays a fee, and he's
Mm-hmm.
good to go. It's not
Yep.
like that with the bar. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very hard to just move to another state unless there's some exceptions. The patent bar is a national bar. You have to have an engineering degree, but you could, work. There's a lot of people in Seattle I know, and they do business with people here because it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them are not like, you can do business with anybody.
Yeah.
That's why you're in 80 countries. I couldn't do that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely,
that's the wrong profession.
the world of the internet is definitely incredible. And I don't necessarily think that I do enough reflection on how lucky we are as a business to be able to do
Yeah.
business, and
20
where
years
we
ago,
want
it'd be hard.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a great time for the world of the internet, and obviously with everything else that's happening in AI and all the other fun stuff too. It's always it's forever changing and evolving. But I
Yeah.
think at the core, people still and forever and always will like to do business with people that they like.
Of course.
And
trust, no like and trust has always been the
and I think
the rule.
that recipe that we kind of more or less shared earlier, that even if you just have to genuinely care about other people.
Yeah, they want you to know that you're thinking of them more than, because there's things that that they don't know. So they're relying on you to make decisions and to do the marketing for them and stuff that they don't even know how to do.
Very true. Very true.
It's like the law, right? I mean, the guys that do my SEO, the clients of mine, they're good. But before I met them, I don't know if the other people I was working with are good. You have no way of knowing unless you know the business. And it's very hard because it's complicated. You can't just press a button and it says, "Oh, this website's great."
For sure. The relationship is key. I agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say is the most challenging thing of running your own business, especially since it's global? What would you say the most challenging thing is?
Communication.
Okay.
You can
Teams or something? What do you guys use to communicate throughout the day?
We use Slack.
Okay.
Primarily. But
Slack's not video, right? It's just like texting kind of.
It can be video if you want it to
okay.
be. Yeah. We use Notion as well.
Never heard of that. Okay.
Highly recommend Notion. My brain thrives in that aspect because I actually run my marriage out of Notion. Believe it or not, I wish I was kidding. It's a beautiful service.
What does it do? What does it do?
I mean, just like
I'm gonna write that.
You can you can organize everything. I'll just say that.
That's what it is, an organizational tool.
Yeah, it's no different than any other one, but I just think this one in particular does a really good job of it, and I'll give the service its flowers by marketing it for free.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great way to say, hey, this. So the point I'm trying to make, what is the hardest thing, is communication. So like, you can tell me, how do you change a tire, right?
Hmm.
And then you can tell me over the phone, and then you can write it down, and you can record a video. But that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's going to be able to take what you just did, all three of those things, and then be able to change the tire.
Right.
And so what I found is that the communication aspect is key, because just because I tell somebody to do it a certain way, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be done the exact way that I had hoped for. So
Right.
you kind of have to be okay with it being like 90-80%, and then being able to say, well, now it's going to take a couple more days in order for you to get it to 100.
Right.
And so that, for me, has been the hardest part, because I try to be as thorough as possible. I try to be as direct, but then sometimes it's misconstrued in some aspect, and that can be extremely daunting, frustrating, uh, angry,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. So I think clear communication is like paramount when it comes to building a business, whether that be to your customers, right, or whether that be to your networking partners, or whether that, especially, your team members.
Right.
Um, and I think that if you can master communication, I think you will be very successful in life, no matter what it is that you do.
Yeah, no question about it. I think, though, some people, business owners in particular, they get caught up on perfection from the standpoint of, they think this, I want it done. I want it done only this way. And like, I remember when I brought my VA on, I gave her a lot of direction, because I had a way that I wanted to do the podcast and the tools I use. And I literally mapped it all out. But at some point, I start to notice that whatever she was doing, it was turning out better than what I was turning out. So, sometimes empowering employees and giving them some creative license is valuable. And I think sometimes people get hung up on, it stands in their way of saying, you know what, doesn't need to be 100%. Like,
I
we can
agree.
get the same result from 80% because the customers are really satisfied. It's just something in your head that's like short, in terms of, the job being done a certain way versus,
Yeah,
letting the
I
employee run
agree.
with it a little bit. Unless, you're not a spine surgeon. We're not doing brain surgery, so the person could die if they don't follow the procedure. But
For sure.
it's not going to.
I think you have to be. So I think you're 100% right. I think the only slight caveat is that you have to also, the other person on the other end has to make sure that they understand, right? So
Yeah.
like, it's one thing for, like, if that if you gave that same direction to somebody else, right, and then they end up going the a complete opposite end,
Right.
right, and then they
Oh,
do a
that's not good either.
terrible job,
Right.
right, and then it's like, okay, buddy, like, you can't do it.
Right.
So if it can get to 80 even after all of your directions, then I think that's a great employee. I
Right.
agree.
Yeah, and it's also obviously got to meet your goals and objectives, right? The person has to know. I guess that's why communication is the key, right? Because they have to know what you're trying to accomplish, whether they get there a little bit differently,
Great point, for sure.
And I think that sometimes, especially business owners, I find, who are growing with their business and leadership's a problem, and they have some issues and you can't scale and things like that because their employees they don't communicate well, right? Their employees don't know the direction they need to go. And they're also not empowered to be creative enough to get there, maybe in a different way, and still have a good result. So I think that's a problem. So how do you overcome that in terms of
Yeah.
being a good communicator? Do you think you were good at the beginning, or is it something you learned and got better at, or?
Terrible. Yeah. I mean, I still think I'm bad. But I feel like now I have a lot of systems and fail safes to ensure that I'm moderately better.
Yeah.
So I do my best from my ability to speak the language that is best that I would want to receive, and then immediately can tell if somebody is following it or not. I
Right.
think it's all about respect, right? Like, if you put in the effort of like educating, and then you all of a sudden, and the other person on the other end doesn't even ask any questions about it, goes, "Up, got it, easy," right?
Right.
That's infuriating, because you just did all this work in order to do it. So I would say, like, I don't want this to come off wrong, but having a really short leash on people that don't understand the main, as you said, the main objective.
Yeah, no question about it. As you realize that they do, and
Yeah,
and they, you're communicating well, and they, whatever you say, they understand. You let the leash go, but you can't
exactly
do
right.
that at
But
first.
if you can never let go of the leash, I think the leash is on yourself, but at the same time, it's also on the employee.
Right.
And if you can let go of the leash a little bit, then you'll be able to succeed. But I
Yeah.
think a lot of times if you always have that tight grip, it's going to be a little bit difficult for you to succeed.
Yeah.
You'll get to, in my opinion, I think you can get to like, a stable business that's making 6 figures a year,
Right.
right? I think you can easily get to 6 figures by being a dictator and just like go, 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 go.
Right.
But I think the true metric of success of beyond that,
Right.
I think that's when the leash more or less is a little bit loose, and then you really start to scale.
Right, because you can focus on the things you need to, and you have confidence in your place. And remember, 6 figures could be 100,000, could be 900,000. So there's there's definitely a spectrum of success. I think people that trying to dictate and hold a tight leash, and they're forcing people to do it the way they want to do it, and it's frustrating for the employees. They're maybe in the 6 figures, but they're on the lower side.
Yeah.
And people where you have satisfied employees who listen to you. The worst thing you ever want an employee to do. No, I understand what you're saying, Jonathan. Don't worry. I got it. And you're trying to communicate with them. And you're like, Mitch, no. I just want to explain this to you. This is the way I want this done. If you can have some creative license in it, but I want you to understand what I'm trying to accomplish. And then no, I understand. Don't even bother, John. It's fine. I get it. We're good. And you're like, and then I don't get it. And then you're frustrated, aggravated. I mean, that's,
number one sales tactic and strategy. And this goes for not only business, but also internal communication. Recap everything that the person just said.
Yes, I do that a lot. People are like, why are you repeating yourself? I said, I'm repeating what you said to make sure that I understand it.
Yeah.
Make sure that you understood. Because sometimes you say things and you're like, no, I told you to do it this way. And you're like, no, you didn't.
Yeah. I also want to confirm.
You didn't, right?
This also works well in your adult life and your marriage life.
So.
Very much. You want me to do the laundry,
right?
And you want me to fold your clothes this way?
Yep.
Don't worry, sweetheart. I got you.
Right. Exactly. I even tell my wife, we get in arguments about the wash. Right. I said, hon, do me a favor. Just make me a list of exactly the way you want to do it, because she's got all kinds of stuff down there, right?
Yeah.
Soaps and things like that. I never get it right. I want to still help, right? Whatever. And so I can't even do that. Like, I can't even say to her, okay, you're telling me that I don't know.
All right.
To me, it's like if you put laundry in, right? You put soap, maybe some fabric softener, we're done. She got 47 things on the shelf. I don't know when she uses them. No idea. She's like, oh,
very similar life for me.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it is. But look, it's funny because if I had to run the house, I would be doing differently. I would have lists up. I wouldn't have the pressure of having to explain things to people. I'd be like, oh, for whites, you do this. For colors, you do this. You can change this and this. If you have any questions, let me know. And then and there's no brain power. I don't have to worry about it, as opposed to thinking, oh, my God, my husband's downstairs and what the hell he's doing. He's going to ruin our clothes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think a lot of that comes from the ability to communicate. My book, I have a book. It's got a funny title to it. It's called 10 Ways to Get Sued by Anyone and Everyone. And it's a co-authored book. We interviewed a lot of attorneys, but the main theme of the book is about putting things in writing, right? Because of our inability to communicate, right? Because you'll say something at a pace that you understand, and the person is not keyed into what you're saying, and they're receiving it differently. And maybe some of it you're saying differently, but you're thinking you're saying it a certain way.
Yeah.
And it gets all jumbled up in their head, and they're trying to do this and that. If you had a memo, you sent them an email and you say, listen, John, here's what I need you to do, but just listen to me. I promise you, I'll go back to my office. I'll follow this up with an email. This is what I do with clients. I will follow this up with an email just to list everything that I'm telling you, so you don't have to worry about it and, freak out that you got to remember all this stuff. And I do that with clients. Listen, John, you're free to take notes. I'm taking notes too, but I will follow this up to make sure that we have an understanding of what you asked me to do.
And do the customers appreciate that?
Very much so, because they can't follow. I mean, I get questions from people about, well, I thought you said it was this. No. This is included and that's not included and whatever. And then I can go back to the memo and look at it and say, all right, well, wait, what did I miss? And maybe I just remember it wrong, which is fine. But there's more problems with communication with employees when you don't have things in writing.
I think that's beautiful. I mean, obviously you have a different background than I am, but I would say the same rules apply that for me as well.
Yeah.
And that's more or less why Notion exists for me.
Yeah.
Because it gives me the ability to say, well, this is the objective and this is how I want to do it. And then this now it's in writing.
Right. You
So
go back to it. You don't need the brain power to remember everything.
yeah,
We're not capable of doing that.
especially when it comes to working with team members that are global, because you can
Yeah.
easily say, well, hey, actually, no, you said this 4 days ago during our meeting,
You
and
just look up
now
the chain and you could see if you did or you
exactly
didn't.
right.
Plus,
Oh,
there's
you
cultural
promised me
differences,
this,
right?
right?
Yeah.
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 Because what's the worst thing in the world? Oh, no, I'll get it. I'll get it to you. Don't worry. Or like, I'm working on it. Don't worry about it. Like, kind of very similar to how the
Makes,
communication aspects of not necessarily reciting what it is that you just heard.
yeah.
Um, oh, I'll do it, and then they don't, and then, well,
Yeah.
how are you going to hold them accountable? To me, my favorite way of leading and also like providing feedback is allowing the person to fall on the sword themselves, right?
Well, you
Because
learn
like
more that way, right?
I also don't want to yell at
Right.
you. I don't want to be, angry.
Right.
I have a 8-month-old child that requires me to be happy 24 hours a day, which
Right.
which I am.
Yeah.
But at the same
And
time,
what's
like,
the purpose? What do you accomplish?
correct. So now it's like, well, listen, dude, these are the numbers, these are the metrics, these are the goals.
Yeah.
You didn't do it.
Right.
Not only did you not do it, you didn't do it for like 3 months.
Right.
So like, what are you gonna do? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well then you can't work here anymore. Or
Right.
okay, then I need to move you to a different position. Or okay, man, whatever the outcome is. But then there's those people that understand it, and that's, again, goes back to communication. But like,
Yeah.
if you don't have these things listed out, especially in your marriage life, I don't see how you survive.
No, communication 100%. I remember I was in a seminar once when I was much younger. I might not even been married, but I was young if I was married. And we were doing, it was like a sales thing, right? So we were doing, there was a psychologist and she brought this guy on stage. It was a friend of mine. And they're saying, okay, well, John's your client. Let's role play how you're going to talk to him and how you can do. They do the whole thing. And, he's very consultative, questions, things, restates things and make sure he understands you, right? Okay, John, you sit down. Now, Sue, come up here. Now, you're Mitch's wife. And she laid out this whole situation. And my friend just was like, oh, honey, what that's not fair. And whatever it was. And the psychologist, because she knew what was going to happen, says to him, why are you treating your wife this way and not asking the questions that you have? Well, because the other guy's a client. And she goes, your wife is a client too. And, and you learn that very early on, that you have to communicate. And I think for people that are listening who are employees of entrepreneurs and business owners, it goes a long way. And you don't have to overwhelm your boss, but to communicate on a regular basis, the progress that you're making on things. Now, there are tools to, watch progress and you can see when people are doing stuff, but, everything moves along. So if you didn't communicate for 3 months and the project's not done, the first you're thinking, Jonathan, is they didn't do anything for 3 months. And maybe they did and they just missed the goal and whatever. But then you would have notice of it weeks ago because they're giving you feedback. Hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Well, you seem to be doing it a lot. Are you struggling with figuring that out? And then finally they go, yeah, I'm having trouble. All right, well, let's help you.
I could have fixed it 3 months ago.
Right, exactly. And then you're too embarrassed to say anything, It's
huge detriment, and that happens more often in my world than you think.
Yeah, and then you end up firing somebody because they're incompetent. When if they had kept you in the loop and you'd helped them, you probably wouldn't. I had a situation with a guy I was working for. I was working for him. I guess that was like in-house counsel. One of their offices had somebody go out on maternity leave or they got sick or whatever. So they moved somebody over to handle the business processing, right? This is going on for weeks. It must have been maternity because she was out for months, right? So the boss gets these calls from our biggest clients saying, hey, I put these orders in. I'm not getting filled. So, everybody's gone. It's late. He's looking through everything. And you know those cubicles with the overhead bins where he opens them up. There's folders of orders. This is before everything was electronic, like stuffed in there. It's probably 30 years ago. Yeah. Whatever it was, she was not in the position that she should have been in. She took over this woman to handle it. She couldn't. She freaked out. Just putting things away. I don't know whatever happened or why she did it or whatever, and he eventually, it's funny because he later hired her back for something else, not for the same position, but he had to let her go and he had to fix it all himself because his other person was out sick or on maternity leave. Yeah. And just because there was no communication, he just put her in a position and she just freaked out.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think a lot of people don't want to So I'll say this. Sometimes a lot of things that are normal to you and I are not normal to other people. Like, I'll give you an example. I have a neighbor
Hmm.
who wanted to get a particular job. I know a person that is hiring in that exact field, and the first reaction after I said let's not make the introduction is, well, I don't know if I have the credentials enough to actually do it.
Right.
Now, this is a person that never even asked, that never even thought in their head, oh, let me just take the meeting and I'll talk to the person. They've already disqualified themselves prior.
Right. Well, but those are the people that never do that.
Exactly. And so my point is that, there, to that story that you shared, there's, to us it's like, oh, this is what you do, right? But then
Right.
there's so many people in this world that
Can't.
are uncomfortable
Right.
with being uncomfortable, and so uncomfortable with being uncomfortable that it's at the detriment of themselves, their family, and their career.
Yeah.
And so to the person that is listening to this, I really hope that they know that because they're listening to this podcast, they're already better than
Oh, yeah,
99%
of
of the
course.
world.
The people that are seeking
um,
out advice and information and,
Yeah.
you know,
Now it's just up
digesting
to you to
content.
just do something about it, you know?
Yeah. I always say, I was talking to someone the other day that, they tell us to focus on our weaknesses to get better at things, but that's not always true, right? You should definitely focus on your strengths. But I think sometimes we just got to get uncomfortable every once in a while. And then it changes. You become resilient. It's not so daunting,
Yeah.
you know?
I there's the new trend is like taking cold showers and stuff like
I've
that.
seen that, right?
And it is stupid,
Yeah.
but there is some validity behind it, even if it's
No,
not,
it's
even
conditioning,
if
right?
it has no benefit to you
Right.
physically. I think the idea of like, well, go into something cold, completely make yourself stress your body the F out, and then see what happens. Because I can
Right.
almost guarantee if you do that on an emotional level every single day, it'll 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 be
Right.
pretty beneficial for your
Yeah,
life.
because the things that appeared to be stressful to you are not so. I mean, I have friends and I've been up and down like everyone else. And, you gain resiliency. That's what happens. And then when shit hits the fan, excuse me, because it does, by the way, you have
Yeah,
challenges with your children and your marriage and your job and the economy. And we again end up with another pandemic and they lock us down. Whatever it is, it's the people that have built up that resiliency that when it happens, they're like, oh, this is just like it was last time. Like, it's not so bad.
100%.
And,
I'll tell you right now, if somebody came up to me and said and trashed me personally and like, you're a piece of
nowadays,
crap,
yeah,
like right now, if somebody were to do it, I would be like, that's cool, man.
right. It wouldn't even bother you. But go 20 years ago,
Yeah,
you
for sure.
flip out,
Yeah, I would.
fall apart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would cry and try to
right.
fight somebody. I'd be like, listen, if you don't like me, you're you're actually doing me a favor, man.
I
Like,
know. Yeah. It's like,
I'm
look,
cool. I'm
right.
cool with it.
Let's find out right now.
Yeah.
Get it over with. No, look, I got
Yeah.
kids. My youngest is a freshman. My two others have graduated. They're out in the world. They have frustrating days. And I'm like, that's good to hear. They're like, why? Because it builds your character.
Yeah.
Because you will have, that's not
100%.
even frustrating. You don't even know what frustrating is
Yeah,
and difficulty is and losing a job and whatever.
for sure.
The sun shines again. My son, 6 months into his job, they did a lot of Salesforce work. He's a programmer, right?
Mm.
And Salesforce had that big layoff. Remember, it was like 15,000 workers. So they lost work. He didn't work for Salesforce, but they did work with Salesforce. He was like the lowest guy in the totem pole. He says, well, I'm done. I said, for the day? No, they let me go today.
Mm.
And it was hard for him, right? But he's been through it now. So he has a different attitude, not cavalier about it. And he works hard and whatever, but he kind of knows that, things happen you can't control and the sun will come up tomorrow.
I'll give you one story.
The Annie
About
show.
the same topic.
Yeah.
I have a brother who's 24. I'm 30, 36. I told him 2 years ago, I'm having a hard time getting a job, yada, yada, yada. Send a LinkedIn message to every single person in the recruiting world.
Yeah.
From every single top company that you want to do.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do it. Well, guess what? He never does it. Right.
Right.
So then he gets a job, right? Then he loses the job. And now he he doesn't have anybody. So now he has no connections, right?
Right.
So then I was like, listen, remember that thing I created a
Yeah, if you had
spreadsheet for
started
you
the
2 years
process,
ago.
you would have a network to go back to. Right.
So now he's finally listening to me. Just spoke to somebody earlier, like 5 minutes before I talked to you. I just spoke to somebody at Google. They're going to look at my resume, and the same approach that I told him 2 years ago to do.
Right.
He just did it now.
Right.
And he just had a conversation with Google. Even if they don't hire him,
No,
that's
you still made a connection.
exactly right.
You still got your stuff. Jonathan, my son is the same age as your brother.
Yeah.
And it's hard, I think, because it's hard to remember back when I'm much older than you. I'm 58, right? So I remembering back in my 20s, I don't know if I was in the headspace to even receive that information.
No, for sure.
That's one of the problems, right? He's 20, your brother's 24.
Yeah.
And I used to tell my son, I think when he was 16, and he knew everything, right? All the teenagers know everything. And I said, the only thing you and I have in common is that when I was your age, I thought I knew everything also. Mm-hmm. And then you get older and you realize you don't need to know it. But there's a little bit of advice for you to handle. You got 10 years on him. And by the way, that 10 years was not like being a teenager. It was being an adult and doing all these things and networking and building a business and now, I mean, look, you go back 20 years, we didn't have LinkedIn. You go to the Chamber of Commerce and talk to your local. That was it.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep in touch with people, you mail them postcards. I mean, it was very different. And now you can access all these networks and build it. I got my kids building LinkedIn profiles when they were in college.
Hell yeah.
To start
That's
doing
awesome.
that. Got them headshots. And yeah, I don't know if they really keep to it like I'd like them to, but my daughter's going to medical school. She already has a profile. She puts her medical stuff on there, connects with doctors she meets. And, and you gotta, right? And if you exercise that muscle, I guess when I was 24, I didn't even know what the word networking meant.
Mm-hmm.
I was in sales. I used to work for insurance companies when I came out of law school. And I don't know. I meet you, Jonathan. I write insurance, hopefully for you, maybe your wife, and then ask you who's your 10 friends that you like. Would you refer me to them? Like that was the only technique that we used. There wasn't any marketing. There wasn't any networking. There wasn't making connections. And one day a buddy took me under his wing and he told me what networking was and how you do it and why you do it. And but you know what? You do need to tell. Like something happened between when you told your brother that, right? Mm-hmm. And he went through an experience where he realized he didn't have what you told him he should have. And then he woke up and he's like, you know what? You're right. And then he starts to realize that, hey, maybe Jonathan knows what he's talking about. Maybe I should listen to him a little bit more, right? That's what it's all about. But we could go on and on because, even though I'm a lot older than you, like he's the same age and we go through the same thing. So, I appreciate you coming on today. And what's the best way for people to kind of connect with you and see what's going on in your world? LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, PENJI.co is great. Okay. If you want to email me directly, my mission in life is just to help other people.
Yeah.
So Jonathan at PENJI.co, JOHNATHAN at PENJI.co.
Perfect. We'll put it in the show notes. And I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, you can have anything in life that you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. And that's the truth.
I agree, man. Yeah. It makes me feel good and just putting out that energy as a whole that I've found is really, I'm able to receive 10 times more because of it. So.
Definitely. Oh, and before we go, what's the name of the podcast, your show?
Well, there's the PENJI one. It's called Fully Managed.
Okay.
I can.
We'll put it in the show notes to get me the
yeah, and then I'm going to be starting another. So I actually had a podcast back in the day. I had like 500 episodes, and then I stopped it because I wasn't fulfilled in life, and I feel like I have a good angle now. So
you're coming back.
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, we're on like 400 episodes. We'll catch up with you.
Hell yeah, man! Congratulations on your success and your kids' success and your business.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, man.
All right, great. Where is my mouse? Here we go. In addition to being a podcast host, I'm also a small business attorney, mostly providing legal services in New York and New Jersey. With over 3 decades of experience, we can handle most transactional issues. So if you're watching the show and you encounter some sort of legal issue, reach out to us and visit our website, mindhackerlaw.com. Thanks for tuning into the show and for continuing to support us.